Welcome back, everyone, to Automation Days Asia 2021, and thank you so much for joining our next session. It is my great pleasure to start introducing a very interesting session by one of our accredited speakers from across the globe. It is truly a great pleasure for me to introduce Satyen, who is the CEO and president of Symphony SummitAI. Satyen has been the Chief Executive Officer at Symphony SummitAI already since 2013, and he has led the company's growth from a startup towards a global entity with customers and partners in North America, India, and Southeast Asia. Prior to SummitAI, he was the Vice President at IBM in India and South Asia, where he was instrumental in growing the company's X-Series servers to a market leadership position. I've personally known Satyen for many, many years, and it's always great to have him present at these kinds of sessions because he provides a true inspiration on how to lead big technology companies. It's really a pleasure that he will today talk about automation, a subject that is close to my heart, and he will show 5 signs that you would need to automate your services. Note that Symphony SummitAI is also the platinum sponsor of this event, and the event would probably not have been possible without Symphony SummitAI. I would like, therefore, to extend a very, very warm welcome to the CEO of Symphony SummitAI, Satyen. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jan, for that wonderful introduction. It's always been a pleasure to work with Cybiant and you, Jan. And it is my privilege to be able to present some broad ideas about the need for IT service automation. So thank you again for inviting me here. Let me start with a brief introduction, although Jan has been very generous talking about my background. I've been in the IT industry for close to 30 years, done various roles in various companies. My current role is a CEO of Symphony SummitAI for last close to 8.5 years now. Previous to that, I was a vice president of System X business for India and South Asia for IBM. I ran a mid-market business for Dell in India. And prior to that, I have been a co-founder and a CEO of a technology group called Vittage Group, which I exited in 2008 around that time. In all these 30 years, I think if I want to describe myself, I would say I'm an entrepreneur. I like to build businesses. I like to create customer value and deliver customer value and partner value in the process. I'm a business leader. I have run businesses for various companies, including myself, and currently I'm running it for Symphony AI Group. But most importantly, I think I am a technology evangelist. I have been always excited about technology, and I've seen multiple transitions in the last 30 years about how technology has evolved, both at the personal level as well as on the enterprise level, especially when it comes to B2B technology, starting from client service application going into SaaS and more consumerized technology that we are currently enjoying today. Today, in the last 8 years, thanks to a great team that we have at SummitAI, I've been able to lead the company from a startup to a disruptor in IT management space. We are fast emerging as a global player across the entire world. You can see we have customers and presence in starting with North America, going up to Japan. We have operations in North America. The engineering center is in India. Currently, I'm presenting you from India. And we have customers and partners across the world. Cybiant is one of our partners as well in Southeast Asia region. In the last 8 years, we have grown from being somewhat not known entity to possibly the most preferred enterprise class ITSM solution globally. This is the actual data on Gartner Customers Choice Peer Insight Customers Review, where customers rate various vendors about their happiness with multiple technology they use and on various parameters as well. So as you can see, SummitAI has been rated highest when it comes to enterprise class ITSM, and that has been a great achievement thanks to a great team we have at SummitAI. And we hope to obviously continue this journey as we keep adding newer and cooler technology like virtual agent, AI, and automation, which is what is making us lead this industry in the last few years. We have customers, about 240 plus customers globally in multiple verticals. As you can see, some of the leaders in every markets and geographies are using SummitAI to deliver best-in-class IT services for their employees. and running their IT operations smoothly and with high efficiency. Now, having talked about myself and the company that I am the CEO of today, I want to talk more about what is the right theme for this event, which is the need for automation. So I'm going to walk you through some thoughts that we have at SummitAI as to why one should consider service automation. And we're talking about IT service automation here specifically, because automation is a vast field and RPA is obviously available to do business process automation for most of the companies. Uh, SummitAI is focused on IT service, IT operations, and IT automation space. And uh, because IT is an integral part of business, actually IT is the backbone of all businesses. Why IT service automation is important for the company, for your business. More importantly, what are the signs that you have in your business that are indicators to let you know that you probably need IT service automation today? Now, obviously, we all talk about automation. So, what should you automate? How do you go about it? And maybe a few sample IT automation use cases that you may start considering if you want to take this journey as we go ahead. If you look at various research that is published by Gartner, and this is a very interesting data set here, that by 2023, in IT management space, especially when you are trying to look at change management or managing the business risk, more and more of use of automation uh, will reach a size of approximately 40%. But that will also mean that there will be 20% reduction in unplanned downtime if it is automated thoughtfully. Now, keep in mind that a minute, an hour of downtime for IT systems can cost business millions of dollars. So, using automation for AI ops and change management, as well as DevOps risk management, can actually reduce your downtime and therefore can create a huge impact on revenue. We can see that if you are investing in thoughtful automation of IT services, you would see that by 2024, companies who invest in IT service automation would be outperforming competition by up to 20%. In the same line, all of us know that in technology world, there are two jobs that we do. One is keeping the lights on, another is actually innovation and doing something which is business value creating. Right automation in IT service operations would free up to 30% of efforts from keeping the lights on, just customer support, to actually continuous engineering and making sure that IT and technology is creating value for business. And in about 4 years from now, 50% of enterprises would have invested in AI-based IT operations automation from the current 10%. And as you can see that those organizations will eventually outperform their competition. So investment in IT automation is actually a very important need of the business, and that needs to be kept in mind. We all know that the function of information technology function in the enterprise is mainly to do two things: deliver a best-in-class user experience, and at the same time, deliver that experience by higher operational efficiencies. With IT automation, you can improve your user experience. In this case, user experience could mean employees or extended ecosystem, that is partners and agents that you may have outside servicing your customers on your behalf. Automation can make your systems available 24/7 for the employees. Uh, you have use cases where employees can drive self-service so that you don't need to actually wait for IT staff to support, at the same time wait for that for the business to continue, which obviously results in higher productivity and better customer satisfaction or employee satisfaction in this case. On the other hand, looking at the cost center or cost management approach of IT operations in the enterprise, with IT service automation, you can reduce repetitive tasks, bring them down as close to zero as possible, because those are the tasks which are easily automatable as well. Another value that automation can create for you is take out human errors that there might be, because at times we have seen there is a recent example where a large technology company had an outage for almost like 5 or 6 hours and nobody knows what happened. The impact on business could be disastrous in such cases. and I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. That could possibly be because of poor change management or maybe some human error. Automation can reduce errors to make sure that such impact is minimized. The resolution of service requests and service tickets could be much faster using automation thoughtfully done. As a result, not only would you save costs, but also your service agent productivity, the productivity of the IT team which is servicing the business also will improve dramatically. So the idea of service automation is to make it easy for employees and customers, both of them, to resolve their issues faster, get what they need, when they need, and get back to business, which is the main purpose of any business enterprise. So, what are the signs that your business might be looking for or might be needing IT service automation? What is the 5 signs that you need to automate your IT services? First is if you look into your enterprise and if you see there are a lot of unstructured manual and time consuming processes, or your IT spend is growing exponentially, or you are getting stuck with non compliance issues, or there is a declining or low employee satisfaction, or last but not the least, the business is bottlenecked because IT is not supporting the required business growth or the opportunities that business has in the market. Let's go one by one to understand how they can be, further, what are the symptoms that you can see for each of those signs that I'm talking about here. If your business has a unstructured and manual time consuming processes, a lot of them in your IT service operations, then you are going to experience longer approval cycles. That effectively means that your business will be stuck with IT support for longer than what it should be. At times, you might also notice that the request um, or the incidents or tickets are landing into wrong places because they are not properly assigned. Again, creating delays and therefore loss of business. Opaqueness in the business processes through the process life cycle because you don't know what's going on. There is no visibility of what's going on. There's no clear oversight of business processes. And very importantly, the issues are stuck between multiple silos within IT functions, such as network, infrastructure, or applications, or within business functions, where nobody really understands what is going on. And all one experiences is a lot of frustration because a lot of processes are still manually driven and taking a lot of time and a little bit unstructured manner. You're also experiencing exponentially increasing IT costs. This is especially applicable to enterprises who have not invested in IT in the line with the growing technology trends and the opportunities today. If one is using a archaic legacy systems which are not lending themselves for driving efficiencies of AI and automation in business, that is the reason you probably are doing too many manual tasks which are repetitive in nature, which can actually be done by machines and bots and AI, resulting in human errors at times. And at the end goal or end outcome of that is that your IT is always catching up to growing demands from business, and then you hear all those complaints and conversations about how IT is not supporting the opportunities out there in the business. You may also experience frequent non-compliance, and today with the regulatory framework driving both regulatory frameworks as well as vendor frameworks at times driving audits and compliance reporting, you might see that all of a sudden there are unknowns that are surfacing, which may result in not only loss of money due to penalties, which of course is an important loss, but even more importantly, loss of reputation. Because once the reputation is lost, then it is hard to recover, at least in the short term. And at the end of it, the SLAs are breached due to multiple inefficiencies in the system. So if you're seeing any of those signs that you're struggling with compliances or increasing IT cost, or let us look at employee satisfaction. When employees do not have access to consumerized service experience, and this is very important because all of us know that technology use in the consumer world has gone significantly. Today we are able to get our food or cabs or groceries ordered in a very easy, intuitive way. But if your internal IT services are not available in that consumerized way, then employees are going to be less satisfied. They are not clearly aware of what exactly is going on in the processes. they get tossed around between function to function about, maybe there's a network issue, maybe it's an application issue, and eventually the downtime is SLAs are breached and deadlines are missed. As a result, employees are unhappy or the morale is low with technology function. And last but not the least, the business has tremendous opportunities to grow because markets are expanding, customers are demanding your products and services. But because there is a lack of harmony between IT and business functions, because IT is still struggling with older and archaic systems, which are mainly manual or repetitive task driven, IT is not able to scale. At the end, the business that IT is supposed to serve is actually struggling to scale and make the most of the business opportunities out there. So if you have any of these 5 signs, I will repeat, I'll go back to the main slide here, which is if you have any of these slides, such as unstructured manual processes, frequent non-compliance, growing IT spends, declining or low employee satisfaction, and bottlenecks in business growth, then it is an important point for you to reconsider your IT investments and think about investing in IT service automation that can dramatically drive efficiency and productivity of IT operations, and as a result, dramatically impact your company's revenue, profitability, and customer satisfaction, which is all that we are all working towards. So having said this, let us understand what can you automate, because there is a lot. If you see the graph on the right-hand side here, there are multiple ways or multiple opportunities for you to automate, starting with cloud automation, application automation, IT process automation, technology like server and network, or client automation at the endpoint level, mobile management. It can be overwhelming and daunting. The best way to do this is to think about in a systematic way. Maybe you start with number 1 here, which is repeatable and low skill processes, because those are the early pickings, low hanging fruits that we can start with that can create immediate, sizable business value. And those are easy to do. And you can see that those values can then be delivered to business. The second point you might want to pick is tasks that involve significant key and human dependencies. Now, the reason you need to do this is because the whole objective of automation is to take out low value creating job out of human beings and give it to the machines and the bots and automation engine, so that humans can actually focus on creating higher value for business and technology. And if you look at your daily routine or weekly routine of IT operations, you will realize that there are many tasks that are consuming a lot of human resources, which they necessarily need not, because those are easy to automate, and all you need is a right technology partner to get them out of the way so that your team can both grow professionally and focus on high value creating businesses. The third is activities and processes that are expensive if they are mistaken, if they are done wrongly, if they're causing, if there's errors in the delivering those processes. And these are the big ones because they can damage both the business and the reputation if something goes wrong there. And lastly, once you kind of settle this well, then you can look at complex and multiple step processes that you can get into and bring the automation. So automation is not a point intervention, it is a journey, and there is a lot of opportunity for you to continue to automate your IT services over a period of time and continue to bring business value from technology to business in a systematic way. However, how to automate is an important aspect, because once you establish a need to automate IT services and you have chosen the right steps or right sets of services that you probably would like to automate, there is also an important element here that IT service automation is a key technology and organizational change management process. It requires readiness on behalf of both the business and the technology functions to be ready, because like any change, any transformation, there are going to be hiccups, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be unmet expectations, because sometimes people may expect magic, which may not actually be able to, technology may not be able to deliver. So analyze the employee sentiments and figure out whether employees are ready and eager to adopt the changes. And if they're not, then maybe you want to spend some time in creating the culture of automation, culture of adoption, because at the end of it, whatever technology can do, it is not of much use if the users don't use it the way it is designed or implemented. So make sure that the sentiments are well managed. Then identify the impact areas which are of high impact and high visibility, because that's when you see the early successes. Because once the ball starts rolling and you create a snowball effect, then you can actually go all the way to the complex processes. But start with something which is visible and creating high impact, and set realistic goals. Because again, one of the challenges I see technology functions have across the world is that the business expects them to be magicians, which technology can do a lot, but it takes time. So set right goals so that you can actually go and start executing and creating business value in a systematic manner. Once you kind of decided this, what is the approach that you would like to take? So as I earlier said, start small and pick easy wins, because easy wins will not only make you feel good and your teams feel good about your technology team feel good about IT service automation. It will also create acceptance in the rest of the enterprise that it is actually going to create value for you. Choose the right technology partners. You have multiple options out there. There are many innovative new companies, including ourselves, who are creating interesting, easy to use, intuitive technologies to drive IT service management, IT service automation, AI driven automation. But if you're using a technology partner for IT service automation, make sure that you're using a partner which has a future vision of using AI. Uh, the technology should be easy to use and implement, because that's the key. You don't want a complex, basically a very complex technology to drive, because that can suck up a lot of resources and time and energy. It should be able to deliver a high or better total cost of ownership. That is, it should be affordable and easy to use at the same time, affordable to consume. It should be cross-functional, because IT and business are now merging. So you are seeing that business leaders are taking IT decisions and IT leaders are required to take business decisions. So it should be able to drive collaboration across multiple technology functions and business functions, and not just a geeky IT product. And importantly, it should be able to scale with your business. So you could be a large global enterprise expanding further globally. You could be adding newer businesses. You could be a mid-market aspirational company, want to go global, or you could be a small startup business but have ability to scale and become a global entity. Your technology partner should be able to scale with what your vision is. Set right expectations both internally and externally, because that is most important, that we understand what we can expect and then deliver that correctly. Execute, learn from successes and failures. And I can assure you that when you get into this journey, and all of the IT leaders on the call will agree with me, that not every project is successful on the word go. There are issues, there are challenges that we face. Learn from successes, learn from failures. And once you kind of gotten your rhythm, then it is just a rinse and repeat process. Accelerate your journey to further IT automation. So some cases, some sample use cases that you can start with. And you can see I have about 15, 16 of them on the on-site. And each of them, if you look at them, each of these processes are reasonably value creating. They are well-defined processes, but they consume a lot of human energy. And each of them can be easily automated. In fact, we have cases where some of our customers have automated close to 40% of their routine processes. Now, 40% is a large number, because once you kind of get there, suddenly you have a space to do innovative things, because you are not actually spending time in doing mundane tasks like installing a printer for an employee, for example, or creating a local PC admin rights, or resetting a password, or onboarding a new employee, which is a very, very involved process if done manually. But if you use right IT automation setup there, you are actually going to be able to do it very smoothly, and you can deliver the best experience for the new employee that you come in here, right? We have cases where you can allow guest Wi-Fi access if somebody visiting to you. All of this can be done using AI engine, which can be a chatbot or a sort of conversational bot, and an automation engine, which can do a whole lot of processes automatically. And these are but very small set of what you can actually do with IT service automation. There is really no end to it. And you know that since IT is a backbone for business, the more and more you drive IT automation, you are driving predictability, you're driving efficiency, you're driving productivity, you're driving employee satisfaction, and at the end, you're driving the end goal, which is the business growth for your enterprise. Of course, this is a small slide about what our company does. We are an AI-driven IT and enterprise service management suite, and we have offers such products like IT service management, employee service management, asset management, and service automation. That's a product that can do a lot. What I just spoke earlier today. We have a very smart system of intelligence called Cindy, which is a virtual agent, basically a chatbot type virtual agent, which can engage with the endpoints and get a lot of these things done automatically and available across multiple functions. Like I said, we are actually one of the vendors that you can talk to. And if you need to know more about us, reach out to either of us, Cybiant or Symphony SummitAI, and we'll be happy to sit with you, understand your business priorities, and help you drive IT service automation in your enterprise. So again, thank you for the time and attention. I appreciate the opportunity that was provided to me, Jan. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Satyen. That was an excellent presentation. I've seen also a lot of reactions coming in during your presentation. So it was very, very interesting. And I think a lot of people shared that with me. One of the slides that I've personally found very interesting, and I might borrow that from you, is the 12 use cases that you showed. I think that is really a very quick playbook that a lot of organizations could use in order to kickstart automation. I get asked the question quite a lot on I know I want to do something with automation, so where do I start? Well, this is actually the slide with the answer. This is where you can very easily get started. Any company needs to deal with these 12 use cases. So I think that is a really interesting point of view. And with your permission, I would definitely like to borrow this slide.
Oh, yes, of course. It's my pleasure, Jan. Of course, yes.
Yeah. I saw also a couple of questions coming in from the audience. So if it's okay with you, I would like to moderate some of those, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yes. I'm happy.
Good. Let me put them up on the screen. So one of the first questions that was coming in, and was actually coming in into two different parts, is can the platform also track things like user experience? And I'll combine it right away with the second question is, well, and if that's the case, what would be key metrics or KPIs to then focus on within the platform?
Right. So are we talking about user experience as in employee satisfaction experience?
Yeah, I think because I think what's being referred to is primarily the self-service portal, and how do you measure and track engagement through that portal?
Yes. Okay. So I think Luke gave me a thumbs up, so I think I understood this question correctly. Yes, of course. If you're talking about Symphony SummitAI platform, it can very well track employee experience. In fact, you can track experience on a transactional basis, and you can also track experience on the survey basis. So you can track employee experience, whether the employees are happy and satisfied with that piece that they did with you, or in general as to how you're performing from the employee experience standpoint. I hope that answers the question to some extent, Jan.
Yeah, I think it does, because so I'm a big fan of service automation. I think those platforms, they provide this gateway in which you can start channeling all of that demand from across the enterprise, whether it's IT or HR or even operations or logistics, could start engaging with a service provider through some kind of a self-service interface. So I think that very adequately addresses the question.
Yeah.
I also have another very interesting question coming up, and let me put that onto the screen. This is a question from Kurt, and it asks, to move from reactive to proactive ITSM, your CMDB data needs to be accurate, and your infra and apps need to be monitored real time. This requires a lot of effort and investment. And how would SummitAI be of help here? So I I've known Kurt for quite some years, and he's been leading some of the largest IT organizations within Southeast Asia. So I think that's where the question is coming from.
Yep.
So what's your view on this?
I'm actually very happy to thanks Kurt for asking this question, because as you are evidently a deep practitioner of IT service management, the core of ITSM, as you all know, sits in the CMDB, and CMDB in itself is now getting into most of the companies have somewhat stale CMDBs because they just keep managing it on a excuse me for this. Sorry about that.
No
So
worries.
I'll come back to this again. So I think CMDB is where the core data of the IT enterprise organization sits. And in case of Summit, there are two things we do. We have a very robust CMDB, which allows you to track as well as create dependencies across multiple CIs, thereby creating a set of service life cycle workflow that is available to you. We do not have a monitoring solution with us, but we have integrated with some of the leading monitoring solutions which can monitor different CIs. And the entire service automation workflow I explained, which is currently in this use cases I explained, is driven by the user request. The same automation workflow can also be enabled using the auto ticketing function, which is an integration between a monitoring solution and SummitAI ITSM service incident management workflows. So think about a situation, and this is actually a use case that we have delivered to one of our leading customers, where they continue to manage their data center equipment, various CI items, and then depending on how the infra or app is going outside the set parameters of performance, a ticket is raised in Summit ITSM system, and Summit service automation runs the requisite, there's a sort of a AI ML workflow which then allows the automation to run the script to go and fix those things. Coming very close to self-healing, I won't want to take a claim that it's 100% self-healing, because again, that's another exciting problem to be solved, but very close to self-healing. So that entire workflow of CMDB monitoring, dependency mapping, driving insights from the monitoring systems into the service workflow, and using service automation intelligently to resolve those is all possible in SummitAI system.
Yeah,
it's a long answer. Hopefully it helps to some extent, Kurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that reaction from reactive to more proactive is absolutely something that almost every large enterprise IT organization is struggling with. So how do you get there? And I think that's an excellent answer. I also see a thumbs up from Kurt, so I think it's probably answered your question.
All right, thank you.
Good. I have one more that just came in, and let me put it on the screen. So the next question is, what is the future of the AI chatbot? I think you mentioned already Cindy for a second, but we didn't go into a lot of detail there. But can you share your thoughts on that?
So, I'm mindful of the fact, and since this is a very good gathering of people interested in technology, we know that there is always a marketing message about AI, which is trying to create magic, and there's a reality that we know it's possible, but it is not easy. So I'm going to try to first define what AI chatbot means to us at Summit, right? So for us, it is a AI chatbot in the Summit ITSM IT operations management system is a virtual agent, which is currently trying to replace the L1 human agent by taking that work on the chatbot itself. You can converse, raising incidents, raising tickets, inquiring about status of your tickets, and going into then, of course, other conversations about status, etc. However, the way we look at Cindy's future, and Cindy stands for Conversational Interface and Decisioning Engine, the way we are looking at Cindy's future is that it should be able to slowly grow into L2 level of tech support. And by which what I mean is that using the AI chatbot and the service automation engine together, Cindy should be able to not only understand the question and deflect it to the ticket queue, but actually understand the question and say, hey, I think this incident probably has this 3 or 4 resolves that I can pick and try to execute myself. Then pick up those automation scripts and automation programs from the service automation library and go and execute it on the endpoint devices or the server devices, so that it is no more a chatbot which is saying yes sir, I know it, and somebody will get back to you, but actually getting into doing that L2 level of work, right? Of course, the potential exists. There's a lot of engineering work that is required, but we are heading there. So in our mind, the future of AI chatbot is somebody who genuinely emulates human intelligence and not just a system of engagement, which is what it is today in most cases. But somebody genuinely emulates human intelligence and goes into um, resolving things automatically and taking the work away from human beings. That's the way we are looking at it, Jan. I don't know whether this is answer the question, but that's our view of how Cindy could grow further.
Well, it is answering that question. I even think it's one of the most realistic versions of an explanation of a chatbot as it's supposed to be, because I think a lot of organizations nowadays, they just focus on getting some kind of a bot on the website, but it does not increase the customer experience. In many cases, it actually decreases it, because it just the options are so limited. So I'm very happy with your explanation, in the sense that it should be somebody that is actually engaging and understanding what a person would like to involve. And I think we share a very similar view on that.
And it is technologically possible. It's just that it is something which is marketed ahead of the curve, in my opinion. So people need to understand that it is possible. It requires NLP capabilities. It requires good ML models at the back end to understand how to react. It requires a lot of high quality data to train the AI model, because without which you are not going to be able to deliver high quality outcome. But all is possible. So it's an exciting future for sure.
Absolutely. And then I have one last question before we close the session today. Would you be able to go back towards one more slide down the line of, or the one with the overview of the SummitAI suite?
Yes.
That's this one, yes.
Yeah.
So what I noticed, and what I personally found very interesting, is kind of you put service automation now as a separate domain. And I'm very heavily involved within the domain as service automation. And what I kind of see happening in the last few years is that IT service management becomes more of the backbone, but it's slowly more moving towards more service automation as a differentiator. Is that a view that you're sharing, or do you look at that in a different way?
No, so I think the view is similar. Talking specifically about IT service management, it is eventually those IT processes that needs to be delivered for a mature and growing enterprises. And yes, there are differentiation possibilities in terms of building a better user experience. I think the way you engage with the software, but there are only two types of users here. One is the service requester user, which is employees and basically anybody who's asking for support. Another is the delivery users, and of course, rest are the managers and who look at dashboards and all that. So what we are seeing is that there is always a possibility to increase better user experience for both employees as well as the service delivery players. But the key areas of differentiation and value creation is employee experience through omni-channel access, such as mobile chatbots and other things. And even more importantly, and coming to your main point, the automation possibilities, because that is where progressive organizations are asking about: can you self-heal? Can you self-serve not just information but outcome? For example, I can self-serve knowledge article. You want to know something about CMDB, I can send you a knowledge article of CMDB. That's easy to do for Cindy. But can Cindy actually solve the problem without me getting into, like, give me a printer installation on my laptop without anybody actually involved? So those are very small use cases, and they can really go more complex as you go towards data center and application support, etc. So that's where I think the future of IT operations, IT service management is going to be. So that way, I'm aligned with your thought process, and that's an exciting field to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that great explanation. I think it's completely in line with what we discussed. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you once again also for supporting this event.
Absolutely.
For everyone who's interested, on the right-hand side of this platform, you can download all of the information around the SummitAI tool suite. So if you're interested in that, please do that as well. There's also a sponsor table from SummitAI, which you can access by the left on one of the buttons on the left. So if you're interested in that, also please take the opportunity to join. Today, Satyen provided an overview of the more strategic aspects around automation, but I also want to kind of point out that tomorrow morning we have an additional second session in which one of the technical experts from SummitAI will dive into the details. You will get a live demonstration of the platform and how all of these components with regards to automation are implemented in practice. So if you haven't signed up for that particular session, please do so, because that is proving to be a very interesting session, which will be hosted again tomorrow morning. I would like to once again thank Satyen for being here today. I know your time is very valuable, so it's greatly appreciated that you are part of this event. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much again having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. I see a lot of claps, hands going up. So I think a lot of people are finding this a very, very interesting session.
Appreciate that.
Coming up next on the hour, so in around 15 minutes, we're going to hear another very interesting use case. And this is also cutting edge technology. So I highly encourage you to join for the 4 o'clock session as well, in which Singhu Tio is going to show us around a very interesting, and from a technology perspective, I can actually even say kind of a cool new technology, which is conversational voice AI. And the first time I saw it, I didn't really believe that this was possible, but it actually works in practice. So if you want to learn more around how automation and conversational voice AI works, please join us again at 4 o'clock, and we'll see you back in what is already going to be the last session of the first day. Look forward to seeing all of you back at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Thanks, everyone.